¿Qué pasa? What's up? Antonio Serrano here, and today I have a magical character just for you. I know what your guys are thinking. I need a haircut. Don't worry, I am a professional, and professionals are the comedians that we are going to be talking about today, as they are Monty Python. Okay, Monty Python, one of my favorite comedy groups. I would say that it is the best comedy group around in the world, in the history of comedy. I discovered them quite late. Here in Spain, they are famous because of their films, because we never saw on television or anything like that their sketches, right? So I discovered them quite late. I watched first Monty Python and the Holy Grail, then I watched The Life of Brian, then I watched The Meaning of Life, the films, right? And then when they appear on Netflix, like the whole Flying Circus, I saw that, okay? And these guys are genius. I think that we magicians, even if you are not a comedy magician, we can learn a lot from these guys. Without further ado, because Monty Python, I think that they need no introduction further than this, let's get started with the first tip. Okay, I love this first tip. This first tip is basically use what you have. As simple as that. Use what you have. This completely changed my mind when I thought about how to create shows, magic shows and things like that. In an interview, they were talking about how they created Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And Michael Palin and John Cleese, they start telling these stories like, we wanted horses, right? We wanted horses, but we didn't have the budget. We didn't have the budget. So that's where the idea of the coconuts appear. If you haven't seen the Monty Python and the Holy Grail, basically it's like a King Arthur kind of tale, but they never ride horses. They have like coconuts and they pretend that they are riding horses, like, which is kind of meta theatrical, right? This is like the epic theater from Brecht, like the Russian guy. I'm not going to start talking here about theater, but that's basically it. Like, you are seeing through the curtains, but you have to believe that it is a horse because the characters believe there is a horse there. So, and you go like this. So it's quite funny, and they did that not because it was funny in the first place. They did that because they couldn't afford horses. So they are doing what they can, what they have, right? A lot of the times magicians, we love shooting to the stars, to the moon. Like, oh, I want to have a show with big boxes and putting people inside and making a tiger appear, and it's like, can you do that? Maybe you even have the money to do that. Maybe you even have the budget to perform things like that, but do you normally perform in places where you can do this type of tricks and shows? No. I have a lot of ideas for big illusion, things like that, or I even have a lot of ideas for tricks using black art, things like that, but I can only use the methods and the tricks that fit the venues where I normally perform, right? So you must do something that is very good, a very good product, like Monty Python always did, a good product using what you have, right? John Cleese says that for comedy, having limitations is great, right? It's great because the coconut thing only came about because they had the limitation of the horses. And they also talk about the castle. All of the castles that you see in the Monty Python Holy Grail are the same. They only had the permit to shoot one castle. So they shot this castle in every possible angle to make it look different, right? And it is extremely funny. It is extremely funny. That limitation created something extremely funny. So that's what you should do with your show, and not only thinking like from a comedy point of view, like from a funny point of view. If you want to do like a poetry kind of thing, magic, like kind of like a René Lavin style of magic, you can use what you have, simplify things, use the same props, and those could be used as callbacks. Okay, people don't have to see like, oh my god, he's doing the whole show with the same 4 or 5 objects. No, that's not a bad thing if you don't portray it as a bad thing. If you portray it as a good thing, like, look how tight everything this is, how tight all of the tricks are, that I'm always using the same thing. That's great, okay? So use what you have and give the best product possible. What a great lesson that we can learn from Monty Python. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Okay, I love this one, and I think that a lot of artists talk about this idea as one of the most important thoughts that they have every time that they create something. I heard Ricky Gervais talk about this also, and it is basically write about what you know, right? A lot of the times we think of an idea like, oh, this would be extremely funny, but you have no idea about it, or you should know more about it. Okay, study it. Okay, Monty Python, all of the comedians studied a lot about religion and gods and about the history, how they were created, like the Messiah, how many people thought that they have they have been the real Messiah in that time, how all of that happens, the rituals, the tradition, the Romans, all of the stuff, the Latin, how to write properly Latin, all the stuff. So they are making jokes with things that they understand, with things that they know. And we can also extract this from the Flying Circus. If we go to the, for example, the cheese sketch, they were in France. I think that they were in France and they saw a cheese store and they were like, could you imagine that we go inside of a cheese store and there is no cheese? So they start like planning and studying all of the different names and coming up with jokes and gags and puns with all of the different cheeses that they can come up with. So you should study deeply all of the themes, topics that you want to address in your show, know about them, and then start writing. That's the best way to know that you are going to squeeze the last drop of comedy, poetry, theatrics from that theme, from that topic that you are using. Yeah, that's great. Okay, I love this tip. This tip is basically silly versus clever. And I think that Monty Python, we have to remember that these guys met at university, right? They were studying like in high-end university where theater and comedy was like sports, right? It was a part of the life in the university. So these guys were extremely, and they are likely nowadays, they are extremely clever. They are extremely clever. So having jokes, sketches, things like that, where being extremely clever and extremely silly interweaves is great. And I have talked about this in other videos. When you give to the spectators a lot of things that they can admire, it's easier to have fans, because if the only thing that you can give them is silly, you are going to have a lot of fans. But you are going to be interesting for people that are interested in silly things. That's it. If you are silly, but at the same time you are clever, you have a very intricate dialogues with a lot of synonyms, even the rhythm of some of the sketches and some of the movie scenes are poetical, the acting is very good, they also have songs, and the songs are quite catchy and they have a good lyrics and good melodies. When you add so many things that people can admire, you are going to have more fans. So it is great to interweave being extremely silly, like for example what they are singing in the songs, but being extremely clever when you pay attention to the melody of the songs and how all of the pieces came about. So that's great. It's outstanding how they balance being extremely silly and extremely clever, extremely intelligent, extremely bright at the same time. We should do the same thing in our shows, and I am not talking about being silly and clever. If that's your character, that's great. I am talking about combining different things, right? You should not only be like, I am clever, and that's my character. I am silly, that's my character. I am serious, that's my character. I am dark, and that's my character. No, you have to add layers upon it. And you should shuffle things around. Matt King talks about this. Matt King says, I want people to feel like I am extremely silly and dumb and a bad magician. Like I am very lame at the beginning of every trick. And then when we arrive at the end of the trick, they go like, whoa, this guy knows what he's doing. And I try to push this forward the most I can, like for every trick. It reaches a point where people know that you are good, but you must push this forward. So that's your character. You are interweaving, I am dumb, I am clever, I am not a very good magician, I don't have very good skills, I have. So you are always around this character development, which is great, okay? Another great thing that we discover. Let's take a look at the next one. Okay guys, and this is the last tip that we can learn from Monty Python, and it is one of my favorites. It is, you have to laugh. Simple as that. What do I mean by that? You have to laugh. I think it was Terry Gilliam and John Cleese, they talk about how they wrote sketches and movies and things like that, and they always said, we were like in groups writing different parts, like Terry was focused on the songs, and others were thinking about the storyline, and others were writing like individual sketches, things like that. So when they all six came together, they started to share ideas, and the thing was, we never shoot something, we never film something that didn't make all of us laugh. All of us should laugh. If all of us laugh, that's a point of, like a starting point. Okay, we all laugh here. We can start working from here. But all of us should find this thing that we are doing funny. Right? And I completely 100% agree with this, because you are not going to sell a routine, a joke, a gag, a magic trick if you don't like it. I had a lot of tricks in my magic corner, in my basement. I have a lot of tricks there that I perform simply because the audience like it, but I didn't. And I end up throwing them away because I knew that if I kept them, I was going to perform them. And I had like a bad time, like, oh my God, I have to perform this now. I know that people love it, but I don't. So you have to change it. You have to find something that you like and that your audience also likes, okay? There is no problem if a routine is for you like, meh, I like it, but not that much, but people love it, okay? Maybe it's not your favorite routine, but you have something in there that you feel like a light inside of you, like, oh my God, I'm so happy to perform this right now. Maybe it's not your favorite routine, but there is some reason for you to perform that routine. That's great, okay? But you must find in there the same emotions that you want your audience to find there. And maybe the audience is going to give you more than what you saw in there, or maybe less, and you have to work on it. No problem. But that is great. And what happens when you work alone? No problem. When you work alone, you must find the thing that you are doing funny if you want people to laugh. You must find it mysterious if you want people to feel that mystery inside of them. You must find it beautiful and elegant if you want people to think that it is like a poem, poetry or something like that. That's basically it. And I apply this when I work with more people. Here in the south of Spain, Cádiz, where I live, every year we do some kind of festivities where we create groups and we sing original songs, melodies and lyrics. So we create like an album, we create like a new CD every year talking about the things that happened, and they are quite funny. And I would love to do a video about this, how these festivities, these annual festivities that happen here in Cádiz, south of Spain, affect my way of creating magic shows, because it did, right? So me and my friends, when we create this group, we came together and I show them all of the things that I wrote. Also other friends write some things every year and we put them all together and we share, and we only choose the songs, the beats, the music, all the stuff that we like. If one person says, I don't want to sing this, we don't sing it. Or I change it, like, what was the part that you didn't like? Oh, I didn't like this part here. Okay, I'm going to change it, and if you like it, we sing it. Because we are not going to sell properly a funny song if one of the members of the group is not having a good time singing that. Okay, as simple as that. So it doesn't matter if you perform solo, if you perform with more people, all of you should agree, right, on the things that you are doing, because it is impossible to make people laugh, to convey any kind of emotions on the audience side if you don't have it, if you don't have those emotions inside of you. Okay, guys, so that's everything for today. Oh, I didn't move the chair today. That's everything for that's everything for the Monty Python video. I hope that I'm so dizzy, man. I hope that you found this information useful. Please comment, subscribe, tell me all of the thoughts that you think that I forgot, and I will see you as always in a near future. Bye there.